And she said, you remember we did it in the back of her car. And da-da-da-da. So I said, yeah, I did it in the back of my car. He was like, man, she lying. It only happened one time and it was in my truck. So he called the police. And they told him, you know, they ran her name and they was like, oh, she's crazy. You might want to move your family. She gets real. Like, she went to jail for attempted murder on da-da-da-da. Like, that just went down this whole scary dialogue. This wasn't even her name, what he gave her. Annalise was not the girl name. So one day, my kids was on their way from home. I'll never forget this. And she called me and she said, I see your two girls. What would you do if I ran both of them over right now?
Welcome back to another episode of Clock Conversations. I'm your host Fahim, and today we got some more TikTok content. Story time on how I caught my husband cheating on me with the payroll clerk. Lord have mercy. I'm not here to waste your time. Like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more, and let's get into it.
Either I gotta be dumb or I gotta be slow. So me and my baby father, we ended up getting back together, and I found out that he was cheating on me with the payroll person, the woman that writes the checks. Anyways, so check this out. He had to move from Louisiana to in the midst of all that, you know, we had moved in this big house, nice neighborhood. The kids were in a nice school, etc., etc. Good life. I was driving my dream car. He was driving his dream car. We were just happy-go-lucky. So one day he say, I gotta stay at work late. And I said, why you gotta stay at work late? And he was like, because I got some work to do. You know, I am the supervisor and I need to make sure everything is running smoothly for Monday. I'm like, okay. So then Saturday came and he had to go to work again. But see, one of my daughters, my oldest, she was in this little program and she had to do she had a little program we had to go to that Saturday. So I told him, you going to be late for the program? He said, I probably ain't going to be able to make it. So I'm like, what? I'm like, yes, the hell you are going to be able to make it. So he was like, I'm not. So I was like, okay. But he ended up making it anyway. Let's fast forward to when I caught him messing around with this lady. So we sitting up here. I go up to his job. I call him. He ain't answer. So I go to his job and I'm like, hey. I say, is Mr. and I say his last name. Is he here? And then the girl was like, he's in a meeting. I'll tell him to come out in a minute, or I'll buzz him and tell him that you're here. I'm like, okay, bet. So she buzzed him and said, hey, your wife is here. And he said, okay, tell her to give me 5 minutes. So I'm like, okay, cool. When his meeting was over, a woman walks out of his office. She looking at me up and down. I mean, up and down. And I looked at her like up and down. So I went in his office and I said, so you just got a meeting with that woman? He was like, yeah, that's the payroll person. And then I was like, okay, cool. Whatever. So I said, so what are we eating for dinner tonight? He said, oh, I don't know. I'm supposed to be getting dinner with coworkers. So I'm like, the hell going the fuck on? So I said, okay, babe. I said, whatever. So I left. He called my phone. I said, no, don't call me. You know, I don't want to talk, da-da-da-da. When he gets home, his phone start ringing. Y'all got to tune in for what's happening next. So, boom. His phone started ringing. And I looked and it said, Annalise on the caller ID. So I asked him, I said, who is Annalise? He said, oh, that's the payroll clerk. I said, why is she calling you this time of the fucking night? So he picks the phone up. He answers, because I tell him to answer, and I'm standing right there by him. He answers, and she say, so your wife come up there today? I thought we said we weren't going to be doing it. So I looked at him. I'm just looking at him to see what he's going to say. He was like, what you talking about? She was like, I thought we said we wasn't going to be doing it. I thought my husband wasn't going to come up there, and your wife wasn't going to come up there. I thought that I would never have to see her up there or you with her. And he was like, I don't know what you're talking about, and hung up in her face. I was like, nah, call her back. Call her back. So he didn't want to call her back. So I called her back off his phone. And I said, what you mean? Like, I said, y'all sleeping together or something? She was like, don't ask me nothing. Ask him. I said, cool. So I asked him on the phone while she was there. I said, so y'all sleeping together? He was like, no, we ain't sleeping together. She making this up. So I told him, I said, you better tell me now. And she said, you remember we did it in the back of her car? And da-da-da-da. So I said, yeah, I did it in the back of my car. He was like, man, she lying. It only happened one time and it was in my truck. What he said that for? I said, you know what? You need to get some shit and you need to go stay in the hotel room. Because I'm not about to be around this bullshit. I said, either you're going to go stay in the hotel room or I'm leaving. And if I leave, I'm taking my kids and you already know what's going to happen. So he said, I'm going to go ahead and stay in the hotel room. So next day, I get a phone call from his job. And it's the girl. She's just telling me all the things that they be texting, what they be doing, and etc., etc., etc. And I'm like, girl, I don't give a fuck. She was like, that's why he laid up with me. You think he had a hotel room, but he over here with me and all of this. And I'm just looking like, okay, I don't care. I don't care where he at. Keep him, baby. So then I called him and I said, so you laid up with her, da-da-da-da. And he was like, why would I be laid up with her? I'm at this room. You could call and see, da-da-da-da, da-da-da. So I called a hotel and I asked him for his room. I went in his room and I just tore up everything that was up in there, including his shoes, his clothes, his laptops, everything. I tore it up. And when he came back, he called me. He said, why did you do that? Now I got to pay for all this. I said, I don't give a damn. You should have thought about that before you broke my heart. I said, because when we was apart, you had all the time in the world to go fuck off and do whatever you wanted to do. But instead, you want to play little games with me. Come back for the next part. So he said, I promise I ain't never sleep with her but one time. And I want my family and all this type of shit. And I said, let me just explain something to you, my darling. And I'm talking to my husband at the time. I said, I'm never going to let no bitch come and one up me. Like, no. One up on me. Like, nah. That's just not how I roll. So, I'm going to forgive you. But you be okay with what happens after that. Regardless of however the fuck I move. Okay? Because you had the perfect time to go and mess around with whoever you want to mess around with when we were not together. But you chose to wait till we got back together to go cheat. Okay, bet on it. I ended up... My youngest, she was playing in this little bitty ball tournament, and I went. And he was supposed to come, but he was standing outside the building, and my kids that ran up to him. But I seen the girl car, like, parked down the street. So I said, you need to put a restraining order on this girl. So he was like, okay, I'll do it whenever I get back to the room. I said, no, you need to do it now. So he called the police. And they told him, you know, they ran her name and they was like, oh, she's crazy. You might want to move your family. She gets real. Like, she went to jail for attempted murder on da-da-da-da. Like, that just went down this whole scary dialogue. This wasn't even her name, what he gave her. Annalise was not the girl name. So I'm like, oh, shit, nah. Like, hell nah. What you done got us in? I said, would you talk about me and all the crazy stuff that I've done, but you got this crazy girl right here. So he went ahead, he pressed charges on her. The girl, she just constantly called my phone. She no longer called his phone. She was obsessed with me at this point, just calling me over and over and over again. So one day, my kids was on their way from home. I'll never forget this. And she called me and she said, I see your two girls. What would you do if I ran both of them over right now? Now, she thought I was at work. But I was no longer at work. I was like sitting in my driveway waiting on my daughters to come. What I did was I went around the back, walked up to her car. I drug her out that car. And I beat the mess out of her. I called my baby daddy and I told him, you better get here now. Get here now. I'm finna offer. Like, you better get here. So he called the police. The police came because she was trying to leave and all that, but I had pulled my little pew-pew out and told him, you're going to stay here until the police come. When the police came to get her, y'all, my ass woke up out my dream. I knew damn well when I woke up with an attitude over a dream, something was wrong with my brain. But if that happened to you, you would be fucked up too in your dream. You would wake up with a whole attitude. You would think he cheating on you. Baby, you want to know the girl name. You want to look through for all of this type of shit. I knew when I woke up this morning with an attitude, it was over with. But y'all, it was just a dream. It was just a dream, thank God. Because you here talking to me today. Because if it wasn't, I'd be behind bars. Thank you. Love you. Bye.
All right, y'all. She got us with this one. Oh, my goodness. This whole time, I was pretty invested. I didn't know what she was doing. But what I will say is, I think if this situation were real, that the sister did what she was supposed to do as far as making her man place a restraining order on that woman and making sure that she protected her children from that woman, because that would be pretty insane if a woman called you and said that she was going to run over your children. Oh, no. That is a no-go. In addition to that, saying that they had sexual relations in the back of your car? Oh, definitely not. Yeah, that's crazy. And overall, just ruining a happy, healthy marriage is already crazy enough. And so, I'm glad that this was a dream, and I'm glad that she woke up from it, and she was perfectly fine in reality. But let me know down below. Do you guys agree with me that if this were true, she did what she was supposed to do, she had the right course of action, and she made sure that she disassociated from that woman by way of calling the police and having her arrested? Or do you guys disagree and feel that she maybe should have broken up with the man entirely, given that he was dealing with a woman that was super crazy and had an apparent murder charge? But thank you for tuning in. This is Clocked Out Conversation. Like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.